Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg's coming to you on the 10th of November 2020. By the way, on the 11th, I will have a special prayer session on 11/11 Eastern and 11/11 Central Time. So tune in for that, praying for peace and progress with all the challenges that we're facing. In my live session, I normally do on Wednesday nights. All right, tonight, though, we're talking about something else because whilst America has been distracted by our election activities here, somebody else has been taking advantage of our diversion. Who would that be? Of course, it would be the PRC, the People's Republic of China, is headed up by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. So what could they be doing? Well, nothing less than expanding their sphere of influence in our very own front yard, or our soft underbelly in the Caribbean Sea, as it turns out. Oh my gosh, Greg, what are you talking about? Oh, Lord, 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 what is this? Well, here's the question. The question I pose to you is this: will the Caribbean nations be suckered into a debt trap with the Belts and Roads Initiative like so many other nations have? Well, it just so happens that China has been quite active in the Caribbean for a bit of time now, and they're getting more so. So we got to talk into that. But first, let's just take a look what we're talking about here. And we'll talk about it as we cover this. So let's do a share screen. And let's go. Oh, before I do that, hey, I got to get some good news before you go there, though. Good news, good news. Some really good news. Hang on. Yes, of course you suspected this, right? We got $100 off right now. $100 off a 4-week supply of food. But you know what? It may be that they're limiting the pricing on this because I've been wondering how long they could keep these prices this low. And I said, that's not a guarantee. The discount's a guarantee, but the base price is subject to change. And with the food inflation, I've been warning you guys about, I've been wondering how they've kept it that low because look, guys, this is 4 weeks of food for an individual. 3 meals a day, 2,000 calories per day. Look at it, 284 servings for this price. Hell, and it's real food. It's special processed, so the last 25 years. It's a freeze dried, but it's real food. It's not MREs. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Get this, and you'll be a winner. You got desserts and drinks too, to keep you from going blue from depression. But it looks like there's some timing aspect of this now. I just noticed this. This is new on the page. So I would say go get it while the getting's good, and then you'll be stocked in your neighborhood. And don't forget, there's all kind of other prepping supplies here too. My Patriot Supply that you can get survival items, water filtration. Hey, I just put in a well, but I might have to bug out, so I still might need some air purification and much more, all kind of prepping stuff, and other food options, including gluten-free. All right, let's stop that share and move on to another share. Let's look at the Caribbean. Bam, bam, bam. Let's look right there. Yeah. I got to move this around a little bit. We're going to see. Here's what we're talking about. This area right here, the Caribbean Sea. Can't you see? So, and particularly Jamaica, Venezuela, Haiti, and several other little island nations in here have been the subject of great interest to our good friends in China, at the People's Republic of China, no less. So what you might want to know is this, is that China has offered Jamaica loans with expertise to build an extensive network of highways in Jamaica. I know Jamaica don't look that extensive, does it? But they do need highways. They it's a pretty good sized island. I mean, it's bigger than the size of Israel, I'd say. It's just maybe not that big, but still. So what you need to know also is that China's also aided area governments with masks, ventilators, and test kits for that certain bug that's going around. This stuff that's kind of had everybody worried and in lockdown. And they've been quietly, consistently, relentlessly, aggressively pushing their sphere of influence in the area. They've been using loans, investments by Chinese companies, grants, cultural exchange, and other diplomatic initiatives to keep pushing for their influence, for their sphere. And so why are they doing this? And this is the part of the Belts and Roads Initiative. And I have talked about that in other videos. I've talked about it quite a bit. And a lot of countries have found themselves in a debt trap to do it. I'm going to mention that again in a moment. But so what are we looking at? This is my friends, this is right here. This is our soft underbelly. We don't have much in the way of defenses, except from Air Force bases right here. And they're not really, they're more training bases. We don't have a dew line looking this way, like we're looking for intercontinental ballistic missiles to the north. We're very lacking in defenses. This is the soft underbelly of America, and so much trade comes through here, going up and down the Mississippi Valley, in excess the entire midland of America. All the grain growing, most of that comes through the Mississippi River. We think of New York as being the center of trade, but everything coming through the Mississippi, New Orleans, is huge. The trade coming out of Mobile and areas in Texas, Florida. We have huge trade, Mississippi, Alabama. We got a huge network here. All the trade coming down through here is huge, huge. We're very vulnerable. We'll talk about that a little bit more later too. But this Belts and Roads Initiative, what are these countries getting? Think about it. We'll return to that in a second. What you know is that the Trump administration has also taken notice of this and not been quite so happy about it. They've been a bit wary over all this, as you might imagine. Why would that be? Somebody, oh my gosh, we shouldn't worry about it. But I guarantee that people comment that on my Facebook side, especially if I want to post this. So, but hey, look, these countries down here are poor, especially Haiti. Haiti is one of the poorest countries on earth. Especially in the Western Hemisphere, they are the poorest country, and these countries get some tourism, but they're hurting economically. Jamaica, it's got a fairly robust economy, but the people down there are struggling. So yeah, when somebody comes in waving money, it gets their attention. So what's going to happen with all this? What are we going to do about it? Here's the odd thing they see. It's this: these Caribbean nations, they don't have a whole lot to offer in return. Really, they're small countries. Now, I'm not downing them here at all, but they're small countries. They don't have much in the way of mineral resources, economic resources. They have very little in the way of minerals, raw materials, and their markets are puny. They're small, relatively speaking, especially compared to the kind of aid being offered. So at first glance, it looks like a horrible business deal. Why is China doing this stuff? Let me so I'll stop share for a second. Why is China doing this stuff? We'll just go back to here a little bit. Why is China doing this stuff? Really? It's a bad business decision to be doing these kind of things. What do they see in it? What are they getting out of a deal like this? But it's a strategic hub for logistics, which can be trade or otherwise, and banking. What else? Well, it just so happens to have great security value if there's a military conflict because of the proximity to the U.S. Proximity. Maybe they'll build their ships out of aluminum in them, right? So, one has to think. Now, there is this individual, I'm going to quote, according to Professor Evan Ellis. He's a research professor with at the Latin American Studies Institute for the U.S. Army War College, Strategic Studies Institute. Well, okay, I butchered that a little bit. He said the following. He said, there are a lot of reinforcing reasons to go beyond the balance sheets. China understands intuitively the strategic importance of the region. So let me pull back and share this again. Bing, 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 bing. So let's look at this. What are we talking about? Strategic importance, Craig. What are you be talking about? Well, look at this. All these little islands through here, they block off all of our trade and trade of many other nations. A lot of trade coming out of all these other countries are entirely, a lot of it goes through here. Huge amounts of it goes through here, through this Caribbean Sea, through the Gulf of Mexico. And there's islands that just line this whole area. And golly gee, if the United States did what China did, we would draw a 9-dash line going right here, right up through here. And it would only be half as big as the area China's claiming. Yeah, give me a break. We're not going to do that. And neither should they have done it. But that's another story. Are they going to try to draw their own 9-dash line here or something effectively similar? They're being kind of quiet in what they're doing right now. They've been slowly, methodically sneaking in on us. Slowly coming, building, growing, developing, encircling, encapsulating. Think about this. Venezuela is a very unstable nation. Many players go to Venezuela: Russia, Iran, North Korea, China, big drug cartels. Some very powerful. Some drug cartels got more power than all these countries in here do. I had mentioned in some other videos that if somebody wanted to do an EMP attack on us, this would be the ideal place from which to do such a thing, right offshore. So the country of Venezuela had nothing to do with it. I'm not saying they would do it. Well, they might, but we wouldn't know it. We wouldn't know who did it. They would have no clue. Maybe we did it ourselves. That's what a lot of you seem to think would happen. I would hope not. Certainly hope not that. But the thing is, you wouldn't know who launched, who done it. So who do you whoop on after we lose our grid? When we go down, when 9 out of 10 people here are starving, yeah, we might be aching to whoop on somebody. We may have nothing to whoop with. I've covered that in other videos. I know you guys want to argue. You need to go back and watch my earlier videos on these topics. So, but the thing is this is all these choke points to trade. It's also potential basis to launch from if they want to have a conflict. And who would be the main conflict it might have in an area? Who might be the main target? Who is it that China might get in the buck tussle with? Did I ever tell you about Thucydides Trap? Oh yeah, probably like 10, 12 times. Greg, what's Thucydides? Yeah, most of you never watched but 1 or 2 of my videos, and you never watched them 3 and 3. Thucydides Trap is a concept elucidated by Professor Graham Allison in Harvard, who is no close relation, at least as far as I know, but he's a renowned international expert. And he is quoting the world's first scientific historian, Thucydides, who wrote about the Peloponnesian Wars, the tensions that are involved when a rising power seeks to or is about to displace an entrenched power. In that case, it was Athens rising against Sparta. And Sparta whooped Athens eventually. It took him quite a while to do it. But he realized the human and military dynamics of that kind of conflict, and he wrote about it very succinctly. And Graham Allison said, we've had 16 instances of this in the last 500 years, and 75% of them, 12, resulted in war. And those 4 that didn't, there were very special cases. And I've talked about this to the cows come home, so that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to say this is a very vital strategic location. You know, we've been underplaying it. The language I've been using, the language that's been used in general about this area has very much underplayed the strategic vitalness of this area. You may remember, once upon a time, there was this little thing known as a Cuban Missile Crisis that almost led to WW3. Well, no, China is not tomorrow morning, as far as I know, about to put missiles in some of these places. But over a long period of time, the threat is just as real if we get into it with them. And when you look at the historical precedents, this is according to Thucydides Trap, you must entertain this as a strong possibility. When you combine that with the aggressiveness and assertiveness, the nationalism and expansionism and the competition that we've been having with the nation, the People's Republic of China, one must consider this a very real, imminent possibility. I personally have talked about these things. I've talked about the trends, the trend lines, the way they're acting, the way they're posturing themselves, the way they're challenging countries all around them for the borders, the way they're extending their 9-dash lines. The People's Republic of China is extremely aggressive, but they're trying to do it somewhat quietly, somewhat, believe it or not. So they'll probably push a little bit aggressively, and then they'll quieten down and be nice little meat church mice and lure everybody into trade with them again and be nice and sweet. And then they'll expand some more. Then they'll get all nice, and they'll probably do this in successive steps until nobody can do anything about it. We're all paralyzed in their trap if we're not careful. And the Belts and Roads Initiative may be part of that trap. When you look at it, this is a good way to develop. All roads lead to Rome. Why? So they may their troops. So the Silk Road, is it really a Silk Road? Why does a Silk Road run through so many places that have so little trade value? Many such places, including these such places. Something to think about, something to ponder, something that we may not want down yonder underneath our soft underbelly. Maybe our soft underbelly needs to get not so soft. Yeah. So what does it mean? Here's this is something that we've really got to pay attention to. I consider this to be our biggest long-term threat outside of our own internal schisms and um, maybe the banksters, which maybe they're in league. As definitely had been made a lot of comments with the People's Republic of China. So don't think one's not the other, or maybe there's some greater puppet master behind all of them. Who is that? Interesting. I don't know. So just a question here. This is actually a live action role playing session. This is for your entertainment purposes. But I hope this entertainment gets your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. Yeah. So that's what you need to know. All right. It so happens that most of the nations in the world who recognize Taiwan as China, oh yeah, Taiwan. What? Yeah, the Republic of China, which was the original government of China before the People's Republic of China created their insurgency and drove them to refuge on the island of Formosa, also known as Taiwan. Yes, the Republic of China was the original Chinese government. They're not a breakaway province. But the countries that most recognize that happen to be in Latin America, which China's making a lot of inroads into Latin America, and the Caribbean. So China's really hoping to come in there and offer deals and flip a lot of these countries to no longer recognize Taiwan. They're trying to isolate Taiwan. Also, when they cut these deals, the Belt and Roads Initiative, they used to cut deals with these countries to vote with China in the UN. And there's a whole lot of little independent nations down here that get a vote for each one in the UN. Not good for the interest of the United States, not good for the interest of freedom in general. When you consider, I guess maybe, Greg, why are we worried about the United States has been so bad, it's China's turn. My friends, consider how China treats their own people, please. Think about what's happening with the Uyghurs. Think about what's happening with the people of Tibet, what they're doing with the Falun Gong. Oh yeah, have you heard about live organ harvest, where they harvest organs from people while they're still alive? Yeah, that happens to Falun Gong. I'm surprised that Falun Gong is so darn passive. I've had people comment on my Facebook site. Oh, Greg, this article you posted is from this group over here, and they're associated with that right-wing extremist group, the Falun Gong. Wow, the Falun Gong is not extremist as I would be if my people were being killed and getting having organs harvested. I mean, my friends, give me a break. I am Falun Gong. I am Taiwanese. So I don't want to hear that anymore. To heck with y'all. If that's the way you think, get out of my face. Go, beat it, scram. That's not right. It is not right one little bit that they would do that to another people, their own people, their very own people. If they can treat their people like that, how are they going to treat other people as they expand their influence in the world? Right now, they still moderate what they do because they need good opinion in the world. They need world opinion so they can do their trade and expand their belts and roads invasion initiative route. Yeah, invasion route. So hang on, let me stop this share. Yeah, they need to maintain some goodwill with other countries. They need to look good to a certain degree to keep expanding their influence. And they'll probably hunker down and look, Tiananmen Square years ago, right? And then we forgot about it. We'll trade and let nothing happen. And then they start again. Then when we get our hunches all up, they will go, okay, we no problem. We made a mistake. We be good. And they do it now. Oh yeah, can I buy you a drink? Can I get you this? Can I get you that? Oh, we're so sweet. I love you so much. That's Sun Tzu for you. Get us to relax. Then whomp us again, grow out a little bit more. Incrementalism, just a little bit at a time, like cooking a frog. And you don't sit sneaking up on you until it's too late. And that track goes, and you got no choice. You're caught. I say we need to limit their influence. We need to limit how we trade with them. We need to limit how we deal with them. We need to be wise. We need to awaken. We've been very laid back. They bought all into our institutions, into our media companies, into our entertainment industry, and they control them to a large degree. And those that aren't bought into and controlled directly by them are careful because they don't want to upset them because they're still figuring they're going to make a lot of money trading with them. It's like trading with the guys who are going to roll over you before they roll over you. Well, the guys on the steamrollers, yeah, they need food. They got this big army of steamrollers. We got to feed them and service them. except you're the ground they're planning to run over. Yeah. That's the way I see it. And it's because of the trends. Just I'm glad you're being extremist. Trends. You got to look at trends. If you don't know what's going to come in the future, look at trends and look at activities. Don't listen to what they say. Look at what they do. When you look at what they do, and a lot of this is covered up and papered over in this country, but these things are happening. Our media don't want to talk about it because they're afraid it might upset them. But it's happening. So there's that. So what you need to know is that the PRC wants to limit countries that recognize Taiwan. So that's some other initiatives that they're looking to in the Caribbean Sea will gain influence on all these countries. So they're looking to get several different things out of us. Now, they have loaned to countries in the region, excluding Venezuela, over $6 billion in the past 15 years. If you put Venezuela in, the number's really high, like 62 billion. So Chinese companies invest in ports, in mines, oil, and also technology projects. That's probably communication systems expanding, like highway, through which they spy through. Oh, they also invest in tourist resorts. They may be going to a nice little island tourist resort, and the money may be going back to the PRC's PLA, People's Liberation Army. Where's it going? Yeah. So also the Caribbean nations have increased their trade with China eightfold from 2002 to 2019. Not trivial. So these countries are paying attention to China. It's their bottom line. Oh yeah, this is their mouth out the money. We're making money here. Yeah. See, maybe the United States needs to be taking care of our neighbors a little bit better. That may be what needs to happen here. Now, bear in mind, let's go back and talk about this debt trap scenario. Bear in mind that Sri Lanka had all these deals with the PRC and People's Republic of China. Once again, I'll repeat. And they couldn't pay them. So China's going in and making all kinds of loans and deals with countries they know can't often repay them. That's okay, because they're going to get something anyway. Not to mention all the deals they're using by these countries going to start with for mineral resources, exclusive rights to fish, and do all kind of things, trade or the vote in the UN. But Sri Lanka couldn't pay the deal, and they had to surrender their main port to the People's Republic of China. Surrender their main port. Wow. But that had to hurt them. Talk about egg on the face. That's what they lost. So, what happens when they do the Belt and Roads Initiative? China loans a country money, but then the country uses Chinese firms to build it. Chinese people come in and build it. So the labor is Chinese. The money goes back to China. So China loans a country money, and all the money goes back to China. And eventually, China lines up the facilities anyway. So what do people got? Zip. Yeah. And if you're one of these Caribbean countries, you need to think about this. Any other country cutting deals with the People's Republic of China, you need to really consider what you're getting into. And what's it going to mean is their spheres of influence increase and grow. Their population grows and grows, and our economy grows and grows, and they're sending more and more people afar. And suddenly they got to put in security forces to protect their systems there, and it might be cops and might be deputy dog security guys at first, and then maybe cops later, and then it's going to be the military. Then suddenly you find your autonomy slipping away. Are you suddenly Chinese, and then suddenly you're the next Falun Gong, the next Uyghurs? Are you going to be the next Tibetans? And how will they treat you or them in those days when they have to rely less and less on world opinion because they've already got it? Yeah. Beware of that. That's what I worry about. So, yeah. So the most money that China spent, as I mentioned, went to Taiwan, not Taiwan, Jamaica. Taiwan, my wish, right? Went to Jamaica in the order of $2 to $2.1 billion to Jamaica in direct loans. $3 billion in industry investment in the bauxite mines and sugar industry and stuff like that. So yeah, but are these practices predatory like in Sri Lanka? Maybe not as much in Jamaica, because in Jamaica it's only about 4% of their portfolio, and they can cover the payments right now. So Jamaica's a little bit better shape, and they're being smart. And China's not been trying to be quite as aggressive with American neighbors yet. Ah, so even as China's presence in this region increases, uh, she's avoided direct challenges with the United States in the Caribbean with her rhetoric and also with the political niches, at least according to Mr. Ellis, I said earlier. But they do seem political. At least though, to counter this, Trump started a program he called Growth in the Americas, or several programs. One of those was that. Like I said, we need to focus on our neighbors too. We need to help our own neighbors, especially when it's in our strategic interest. And we got a competitive country trying to promote a competitive sphere that's going down and scooping it all up. That's ignorant. We should have been down there already. Why not? Because it didn't make economic sense at first, right? Well, yeah, okay. And there's other sides of this. If we lose our country over it, what good is any of it? So yeah, here's the other thing though. So we are putting in initiatives and also trying to encourage our businesses to invest there. So hopefully that will pick up some. But they've also warned countries down there, our allies in the area, about the hazards of the shoddy construction, a lot of Chinese construction. I mean, you can see videos in China where they got words that you like put your finger on what's supposed to be concrete and it just crumbles at your finger. What do they call that? The words I can't think of it right now. Some of you might think of it. Leave a comment below, please. But also predatory loans and espionage, such as Huawei, which has had this history of spying, stealing, and supporting authoritarian regimes. And that's a lot of technology initiatives, supposedly, that is going in the areas, probably just communications. Communications is kind of rough out at sea and around these islands anyway, and among and between the islands. So there you have it. Where's all this leading? What can happen from all this? My advice is, contact your congressman and say, hey, I'm concerned about China's growth. We need to keep an eye on them. We need to contain it. We need to go down and make better deals with these countries in the Caribbean. Also in the Pacific, the same thing. Lots of island nations are being swayed over. Island nations are small, but they still get a vote in the UN. So it gives China a really rapid growing voting bloc. So they can get away with things like their 9-dash line, which the UN ruled against, but they're ignoring it. But see, they understand something. They will ignore something, and we let them get away with it. But at the same time, we will live by whatever the UN says. So they turn the UN around against us. Wow. Seems to be the case. Maybe I'm wrong. This is, after all, a live action role-playing session. Ladies and gentlemen, this is serious. It really is. The growth and influence, the Sun Tzu methodology, we're so relaxed, we don't see it coming at us. When we kind of see it, they're growing spurts in their hole. Spurt hole, advance, 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 advance. They got you. They're not going to do a gotcha until you can't get away. They're smart. They're smart, and we give them credit for it. But once they got you, they got you. What are you going to do? Don't be got to start with. That's what you do. Don't be got to start with. But what else can we do to further not being got to start with? It's how you spend your money. Every dollar you spend is an economic vote. Lesson drove home to me by Milton Friedman. I read his book in 1981 called Free to Choose. Very good lesson to read. You were alive in 1981 when I read economics books. I was reading military strategy in the 70s. Some of the top writers. Yes, I've studied these things for decades. The oldest video of me on the internet on YouTube is a video where I was kicking off the 1993 International Space Development Conference, and I lead into a talk about the longest war where Japanese attacked the two islands of Alaska. Check that out. I have to put that link one day or show a part of it. So I've been talking about this kind of stuff for decades. I've been aware of these kind of things for decades. It's just something I just put a hat on and started thinking about. I've been thinking about this stuff all my life. Yes. When I was a kid, I was enthralled by news and history, and I was going around talking to all the old folks. You know, what happened? How did it happen? What happened? Blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm trying to find out things. Curious. Very curious. I'm seeking knowledge, wisdom. One of these days I might have some. Okay. So vote with your dollar. Vote local. Support your local businesses. Support people here. It's better for the environment. I probably have more ideas that's better for the environment than the so-called environmentalists and all these other people out there. When you look at my habitat design, there is nothing better. There's nothing that's going to do more for our environment than that. I'll cover that some more in the future. But, well, better for the environment in the terms of things they talk about. That's not even why I'm promoting it. But that's a side effect. Dadgummit, we're going to have to strip down the forest and burn the coal fields to get more CO2 back in the atmosphere. My system is going to take so much out. Geez, there's a downside to everything. And even the best things have downsides, like reducing carbon emissions. Dadgummit. So, guys, support my channel. Subscribe, bang the notification bell, and click off. Just click the links below to such things like True Leaf Market to buy seeds, grow from home. You can grow your own food, and watch my videos, share them widely. I got all these videos about how to live off the wild, how to eat wild edibles. I'll do more stuff about it. I got the video on purification of water and sanitation. A lot of things like that. Growing your own food. And more to come. But mainly I'm here I'm right now trying to keep your eyes wide open, head on a swivel. Who else is telling you what's going on in China right now while we're also enthralled by this election process? And we'll come back and talk about that some more in the future, I suppose. And probably should clarify some points made in the last video. A lot of people missed up a lot of that. So I should probably come back and clarify some things one day. But mainly tomorrow night, what time you see this is probably going to be tonight because it's late right now. Time I post this and you're reviewing this, it'll probably be Wednesday. Wednesday night, I start a session at 9. I go live, and at 11:11 Eastern and 11:11 Central, I'm going to do a special prayer session because I did my video, Universal Solar Cup. I believe in the power of prayer and meditation, and we got to get our way through the situations we're in to a better outcome on the other side. And we're going to be praying for peace and prosperity, that we keep things glued together and move forward with a bright future, as opposed to other alternatives. And it's not a political thing. This is a piece. I'd actually do more unity stuff than probably any other YouTuber, a lot of YouTubers, especially in my genre of prepping and things like that. There may be one other guy out there that does, maybe Canadian Prepper. He's a good guy. He's got a good show if you hadn't checked him out. But I also go into gardening and other things that he don't cover, but he covers some other things. So we each got our niche. I'll give a shout out to the Canadian Prepper. Anyway, everyone, I want to say this, take care of yourselves and be the light and change the world. Remember, love dispels hate. And thank you for watching.